Good morning. My name's Susan O'Brien, as Dave said. I'm a Senior Solutions Engineer at Liberty IT. Started my journey probably back in 2000 when I graduated from university and worked in a speech recognition company as writing speech recognition technologies using Philips Speech. It was very different in those days to what it is now. I then moved on to IVRs in Allstate in 2003 and joined Liberty in 2005. Worked mainly in Java applications for the next 12 years, but got to go back to my roots, joining the call center teams in 2017. Darren, would you like to introduce yourself?
So I'm Darren Forsythe. Know a lot of people here, as Dave said. So 12 years in the industry. I've been at LIT all my career. Went from WebSphere, monoliths, microservice, serverless, bit of app security in there. Now I moved into ML AI and currently enabling Gen AI within the enterprise. So hear a bit about that after Susan.
All right, so we're going to talk to you about something hopefully everybody here is familiar with. I think all of us have probably used a call center at one point in our lives. And as users of call centers, we've probably had varying degrees of success with them. They can be difficult to use, hard to navigate. But we're going to tell you about how we've really transformed our contact center using serverless. And obviously the theme today is building beyond boundaries. And at the heart of that really is the ability for developers to build applications without having to worry about the constraints of traditional infrastructure. And serverless gives developers that ability to build highly scalable, cost-effective applications that can handle sudden bursts of traffic. And that was made for the contact center. And I think that's why we've been so successful in moving our contact center into AWS. So I'm going to start a very quick journey through from 2017 to present day, where we worked on automating our contact center using the product lifecycle of explore, scale, and optimize. So we started off exploration in 2017 and then optimized with multi-channel and omni-channel capabilities. Darren's going to take over then and talk about how we're back at that exploration stage, looking at streamlining our processes with generative AI. First, a little bit about Liberty IT. So if anybody who doesn't know us, we're really the providers of applications for Liberty Mutual, our parent insurance company. They provide applications that help our customers in their time of need, and you'll see a slide later where I show how we've really done that. You can see all the figures there, 29 countries, 50,000 global employees, and lots of great awards to our name, with a few AWS builders in our midst as well. So starting with why we wanted to go serverless with our contact center. Obviously, we wanted to go serverless for all the same reasons anybody here would want to go serverless with their applications. But I think with the contact center, those things were even more pronounced. So obviously with serverless, you get really high cost savings. And contact centers are really expensive to run between hardware costs, software licensing, all the staff. It's really expensive to run a call center. So we knew that if we were able to successfully bring our contact center into AWS, there would be a lot of cost savings. Obviously, serverless brings, flexibility. So developers don't have to worry about building servers and getting their environment set up. That's all done for them. So really, all they have to focus on is those changing business requirements, which in a contact center happens on a nearly daily basis. Obviously, serverless brings benefits with scalability. We wanted to start very small, as I mentioned, only 600 calls a month going through our first system. We wanted to then scale that out, and serverless gave us the ability to do that without really having to worry about it. Speed to market was very important for us too. We wanted to test and learn. Start with that MVP, see how well it went, then take all those learnings forward. And that meant we didn't have our developers having to get up to speed with really complex things like machine learning and natural language processing, because serverless gave us that out of the box. Obviously, serverless gives reliability and security, and those two things are highly important in a contact center. You need to have 24/7 availability, 365 days a year, and you have to be able to keep your customers' data secure, and serverless gave us that as well. And there was no point in going serverless without a really good business opportunity. We knew that we could save tens of millions of dollars for our customers by going serverless. Our goal was to contain calls within chatbots, make sure that our customers were being served, and try and direct calls to other digital channels and save them from going to that very busy contact center. And this was going to improve our customers' experience as well. And we did do our research. So back in 2018, Gartner released this research predicting that IVR self-service capabilities were going to decline in popularity, and chatbots and virtual assistants were going to increase in popularity. So we knew we were doing the right thing. So this is the product timeline against the product life cycle of explore, scale, optimize. So back in 2017, we started small with an MVP, one chatbot in production. We'd already researched our natural language processing capabilities and chosen Lex from Amazon, and then we put that MVP into market early 2018. At that point, we only had 600 calls a month going through our systems, but we were able to scale out very quickly. 2019, 2020, we just added more features to our chatbots, more chatbots in market. And then in 2020, we moved on to the optimization stage, adding features which are much more complex, like multi-channel and omni-channel, and I'll explain those terms later for anyone who's not familiar with them. And last year, with the onset of generative AI, we've started to go back to that exploration stage, looking at how we can leverage that in our contact centers to help our customers. So, as I say, we chose Amazon Lex as our contact center chatbot. Does anybody here have an Alexa? Quite a few, yeah. So anybody using Amazon Alexa, you're using the same technologies that are behind Amazon Lex. And Amazon Lex meant that we could just get up to speed with writing chatbots very quickly, used Amazon Connect to interface with the caller over the phone, and put those chatbots into market very quickly. And that did bring us a lot of value. We were able to scale very quickly because we were in serverless. So you can see how we went in 2018 from a small amount of value being delivered to the current state of 2023, where we're saving tens of millions of dollars for our contact centers. We're getting response to our customers' questions much more quickly. They're not spending as much time on calls, but that's because our bots are completing tasks automatically in the background. And our call center staff who are highly trained are actually freeing up to spend their time focused on much more complex queries. It does mean reduced labor costs, and that feeds into those savings. But I did want to call out, it wasn't just serverless that made this happen. We had really high success because of our high performance engineering culture, a really clear architectural strategy, and lots of enablement patterns, as Jeremy mentioned. And our call cost savings were immense. For a call to be taken by a chatbot, it's 99.7% less expensive than a contact center rep. So you extrapolate that out over those tens of millions of callers, and you can see there's immense savings to be had. And serverless obviously gave us that ability out of the box to scale. We were able to start in 2018 there with 600 calls, scaling exponentially up there to 15 million calls in last year. And we're helping our customers in our time of need. As I said, that's our reason to be. So when customers are calling into the contact centers during hurricanes, it's usually those call centers would be overwhelmed. And these chatbots are now handling these calls for our contact centers, getting our customers help much more quickly, but also taking away those long wait times. So back to the product timeline. In 2020, we looked at optimizing the experience for our customers. We wanted to add multi-channel capabilities. And by that, I mean just give our customers the ability to choose their own preferred channel of communication. And we knew that that was going to increase customer satisfaction, but it was also going to give us lots of upselling and cross-selling opportunities. And it would help with our brand as well. We could standardize across all our channels. So we wanted to take those self-service capabilities we had in our chatbots and bring those into all our other channels. So SMS, web chat, mobile, and email would all have the same capabilities. So you can see here there's some really good examples of how we now use SMS. Sometimes we use SMS within other channels. So in the first example there on the left, we're just using our SMS channel while we're in our chatbots to text information to our customers. Traditionally over the phone, you don't want to hear long reams of text. You might want to write down a phone number and you might not have a pen handy. So it's much more beneficial to give that information over text. We're also using SMS to direct people onto digital channels and allowing them to self-serve doing things like payments. So this is our SMS architecture. This is just one example of one of the, I think we've more than 15 applications in serverless, but this just shows how we were able to converge our architecture, and all our teams now go through this one system for sending those SMS messages. As Chloe says, you can use step functions to really simplify those complex workflows, and we were able to remove duplication. That was a really big win for us. So customers were receiving SMS when they were going through our claims system, but also when they were going through our telephones, and that meant they were getting duplicates. And that's not a good experience for our customers, and that really helped us reduce that duplication. Obviously, serverless gives you the ability to handle failures using things like dead letter queues, and it's really important in a contact center to have that failover. You have to, if you say you send your customer a text, you have to follow through on that. And it's really important for our call centers to be up 24/7. So we have failover from US East 1 into US East 2 if US East 1 goes down. And as I said, security was really important for us, and serverless really made it easy for us with authentication, authorization mechanisms, encryption at rest, encryption at transit. We're able to utilize all of this to make sure that our customers' data was always secure. Moving on to our web chat platform then. So our web chat platform was originally written in Microsoft. So we wanted to converge on our technologies, take all the learnings that we had from Lex and bring those into web chat by just moving that system into Lex. And this meant we got things like infrastructure as code and much better observability. So we were enhancing our system. So this is what it looks like on the left-hand side. And really the same capabilities are what we have across channels. So you can update information by going to your web, frequently asked questions, or you can go online to manage your claim to another system. So one of the biggest benefits of going serverless was this, and moving our web chat into the same platform as our chatbots, was that we could create this reusable language model. And that meant that we had best practice intent slots and all the things that are behind the scenes of Lex, also in our web chat platform. And our developers were getting reuse, so they didn't have to all reinvent the wheel. And it meant that some of our code was getting abstracted away from the developers to make them build those applications much more quickly and those capabilities much more quickly. Moving on to omnichannel then. Omnichannel and multi-channel do sound very familiar, but there's a key difference. In multi-channel, you're offering different channels of communication as you are in omnichannel, but you have no context. So if a customer comes in on a chatbot, you do not realize that they've already been in maybe online in a previous time. So with omnichannel, you're taking that context across channels, and that opens up, a lot of opportunity. It's going to increase customer engagement, but it's actually going to increase their satisfaction as well. They're not being asked to repeat their details 5, 6 times, depending on what channel they're in. Obviously, it's going to cut costs, help us reduce, all the business processes and put them into one system, and improve our customers' experience. So this is an example of one of the systems that we've built behind omnichannel, real-time interactions, and all it is an API that we spun up very quickly in AWS, which when you hit it, depending on what channel you're in, you'll just save off an interaction that a customer has had with either your chatbot or your web chat. And it means that each channel can then pull those pieces of information and act accordingly. And this can be really powerful. We can use that to adapt our behavior when our customers come in. So if somebody comes into our chatbot and we see that they've already tried to attempt to do something online, we might not want them to self-serve. We might want to direct them to a call center. And in this case, we wouldn't want to contain the call within the chatbot. We can also modify our menus to address to the customer that we actually know that they've been online already, and give them different choices, and then customize their route through our chatbots. And one of the best things about this is that we have really powerful analytics now, so we're going to have a really true understanding of our customer's journey through our systems. So this was our first use case for omnichannel. Address collection is traditionally quite difficult over the phone with a chatbot. You can imagine, street names, even the likes of Main Street, could be spelled differently, with or without an E. So that can lead to inconsistencies of data, inaccuracies. So it can also lead to frustration because the customer's being asked to repeat themselves several times. So what we're doing is we'll go into the chatbot to file a claim, for example, and when it comes to the address collection piece, we will send our customer a text and let them input their address via text instead. That's really going to increase customer satisfaction, help their experience with our bots. So that's the optimization phase of our project over. And at this point, you really need to go back to the exploration stage, just keep adding value to your customers. And with the onset of generative AI last year, that's what we started to do. We looked at how we could use generative AI to help our agents. So I'm going to hand over to Darren now.
Awesome. Thanks, Susan. So Gen AI, we've all heard about it, right? And even speaking to some people in Liberty Mutual and Liberty IT at the minute, people still think it's a lot of hype, and there is a lot of hype out there. I can't remember last time in the industry I've seen a technology come in, especially at Christmas time, thanks for that, OpenAI, and just come back after Christmas and everyone's asking, what's this? Where are we with this? What can we do with this? So I'm here to take you through one of the about 100 odd use cases we currently have within Liberty Mutual going through our responsible AI process. So this is a pilot at the minute. We do have other Gen AI use cases that are fully in production and being used at the minute. So today, you have an accident, right? You phone the call center, there's an agent on the other line, they're taking a call summarization. As part of that, they have to take notes about the call. You're sitting there, could have crashed your car, you're in tears about it, your poor wee Honda Jazz is no longer. They're trying to listen on the specifics about your call, but also being empathetic to you. So it's hard on them, they're doing two jobs at once here, right? So what's the plan? We're taking a call transcript, agent and the customer, and then we're looking to feed that into a Gen AI solution. In this case, it's a large language model, LLM. If you've used ChatGPT, you've used an LLM. And with that LLM, what we are doing, is automatically generating one generalized call summary, and then two extracting key points depending on the line of business. So know if it's a car, what type of car was it, color was it. And what this allows for is to get the agent freed up to listen to the customer's needs. You know, they're no longer worrying about, did I hear that correctly? They're not constantly going back to the customer and asking them to clarify some more. You know, we've all had our down days in work as well. There can be bias in terms of experience introduced, depending on the line of business. This allows for a generalized experience across the call center. So, enough of that. How do we get it into the stack? Now, Susan said one of 15 applications in the diagram earlier, and in this example, I've reduced it down to one blue box at the top. So, big stack, right? But the Gen AI solution is just fitted in along the vertical. It's not a horizontal plane where everything's going through. Within LM at the minute, we are going through an internal API. Now, this just helps to reduce some complexities. This could just as easily be a call from call center client straight through to the OpenAI service. Along with this, we're not hitting any term limitations where you might need some much more novel approaches when it comes to Gen AI and summarization. Not going to get into those at the minute. It's all one single request straight to Azure OpenAI at the minute. We are exploring some other Gen AI providers. Along with this, it takes about 5 seconds to get this back right. But in terms of the call center, it's important. Gen AI, that's fast, but we've also seen other use cases where it's slow. In terms of the call center, that's 5 seconds after the call's ended. We need to keep that at a minimum. And that is fast for Gen AI, but there's only so many things you can tweak the knobs on. It's not like you've got full control over your servers here, right, where you can just scale it horizontally. Once I have the response, gets sent back to the agent. So we're sending it back to the agent. We're not just putting it straight into the notes. It goes back to the agent. We're looking for accuracy updates, not so much grammatical updates on the summary. We want to make sure what was said and what was generated by the LLM was accurate, so this is known as human in the loop. Just because it's Gen AI doesn't remove responsibility from the outputs. For example, Canadian Airlines, chatbot, sent back the wrong policy to the user. User then took them to court over it, and Canadian Airlines unsuccessfully argued that it's a separate legal entity. It's not. It's a tool. It's not an employee. TBD, another chatbot, user successfully jailbroke it using creative prompting to get it to operate outside its bounds, and it resulted in a very humorous response from the chatbot. Feel free to look it up afterwards, but ultimately embarrassing for TBD. So, depending on your risk appetite, use cases, audit, security, compliance, Gen AI at the minute is extremely fast changing. I had a demo at Christmas time, went to run it 2 weeks later, some minor updates, didn't work. Why did it not work? Having to debug packages, it was insane. So you need to think how you're responsibly going to govern this. You know, you're not just going to put it in the hands of your developers and go, off you go, platform teams, have at it. So, sorry, these slides are very Spartan, by the way. Don't expect much more after that. That was as exciting as they're getting. So, it's already a commodity. It's a managed service. Jeremy mentioned managed service earlier. Gen AI, bit of a gray world at the minute. It's not completely serverless, but at the same time, you're not managing the servers. You've still got on-demand, reserved capacity, et cetera, et cetera. Very, very doubtful that you're going to host your own large language model. Doesn't really make sense at the minute. They are compute heavy in terms of GPUs, aka they're extremely expensive. So would you rather have some serverless-esque terms of requests per minute, tokens per minute on what to charge on? Or do you want to get some teams to spin up large EC2s with GPUs, et cetera, and then you've got scaling cost, audit, security on top of everything that Gen AI comes with it. Then Liberty Mutual as well. The minute OpenAI is one of our providers, but we're aggressively going after a multi-cloud, multimodal architecture at the minute. So we can pick the best in class from each vendor. So Bedrock, it's got Titan there, also provides a lot of third-party models as well. Extremely appetizing, I'll say, especially with integrations into the other services. Yeah. Cloud vendors, they're rapidly building on top of Gen AI at the minute with other experiences around it. So take AWS, for example, reInvent this year, they came out with OpenSearch Serverless and Zero ETL combination where you can take your DynamoDB, dump it into OpenSearch Serverless, and that helps enable a pattern called, let me check this, retrieval augmented generation, aka RAG. If you haven't heard of it, it's how you give more information to the LLM to work on. If I ask OpenAI or any of them at the minute, who's the CEO of Liberty Mutual, it's going to get it wrong because it's not trained on the right data. Patterns like RAG help to resolve that. RAG, good use case for that a lot of developers probably get on board with, search and knowledge bases. At the minute, for a majority of people, it's HTTP and text. Don't think anyone in this room is going to be blown away by integration into a Gen AI product at the minute. It's just not that interesting from a development point of view. But HTTP and text, flexible, easy, everyone knows it. Allows for emergence architectures to come out. You're not tied specifically to it. You're just doing requests and everything's contained within that request. There's no such thing as a session on these. Everything's bunged in that one request to the LLM and back. So everyone's sitting there, great. It's simple. You said it, HTTP to request. Let's go get Bedrock or something spun up right now. Complexities move elsewhere, and I've had this argument somewhere in the room, why can't developers just go and do this? So there's a key human component to Gen AI. It's not a wee report that you're building and just sending it on to Power BI or something. It's not data flowing. It's for a user, right? You just can't test it with metrics like precision recall, aka does my summarization have the key components I'm looking for, the key information? There's a human element. What if it comes back and it's 5 pages long? It's not really summarization. What if it's too short? What if the language in it's wrong? What if it's yieldy English? It needs production data, right? Anyone in the ML AI space will absolutely know that you can't use non-prod data. Your responsible AI matters. So Liberty Mutual, 100 use cases, then ensure we went through some stage gates essentially, risk, security, compliance, audit, all matter in this domain. Slide, number on it. It's a conference, so it can only be good in this context. 45 seconds of 5-minute calls is what we're getting at the minute with this summarization implemented into the call center. Now, there's actually more than that, but with the extra human in the loop component, reviewing it, et cetera, it brings it down from 100 seconds. Plus, this is only the agents. Downstream implications of when it gets to claims agents, there's even more savings to be had if we can rule out claims agents having to go back to your customer and go, hey, sorry, we need more information, or could you provide us more detail on that? Saves even more time and actually makes the customer experience better, so not just an efficiency gain. These will be lightning fast. Developers won't be blown away. Managed service, HTTP integrations at the minute, nothing mind-blowing. New complexities exist. Prompt engineering, it is not just doing a prompt, sending it back and going, okay, that works. It is far beyond that. Your risk appetite, audit, security, your company's responsible for it. It's not a separate entity. It's not quite serverless yet either. There is still serious limitations with each cloud provider there in terms of how much they can scale. You need to build for failure. Change the status quo. You're going to test it in production. You need to test it with your users. I know everyone we've talked about it for years, right, in the industry. Let's get closer to the users, let's talk to our users. But you really need to do it for this. This is not just a tech and data science thing working together. If you don't have your users there, you're just going to be burning through money, and they're not going to use it. Thanks. Read it for yourselves. We've been Susan and Darren. If you've got any more questions, feel free to talk to us.